So Stranger Things Season 5 is going to be dropping its first lot of episodes in about a week from when this video will go up, so I decided to give the series a watch. I now get why this is one of the most popular shows on at the moment. It has great characters, a great setting, and great stories, but then I started realizing as I finished Season 4 that not all the main characters are going to make it out of Season 5. So in the last seasons, it feels like the Duffer Brothers have had a real hard time killing off their favourite characters, killing off any characters that just didn't appear in this season where they get killed off. But it feels like in the beginning they couldn't kill off any of the parents because that would leave the kids without the parents. They couldn't kill off any kids because that would just be cruel. But this season all bets are off. So I'll be ranking the cast based on how likely they are to die. So in this ranking I will be including Joyce, Hopper, Mike, Eleven, Dustin, Will, Lucas, Max, Nancy, Jonathan, Steve, Robin, and Eric. So with a 5% chance of dying in this season is Erica and Robin. Now with Erica, she's supposed to be a kid still, so in this season I don't think they would kill her off. And Robin was only introduced in season 3. Now they could still kill her off because she has had a lot of development since then, but with a lot of the teenagers I think that their stories are a lot more finding love, and Robin I think has to deal with her sexuality for her story, so that's why I think I give her about a 5% chance of dying. Next is Max with a 15% chance of dying. She already basically died last season, and last season they spent a majority of it trying to save her from Vecna. So if they were to kill her off in this season, I feel it might be a bit repetitive, and in this season she is in a coma, so I don't think they would kill her off because they haven't built her up to die yet. So it just wouldn't be as satisfying as if she did die last season. With a 30% chance of dying, I have Joyce, Dustin, and Lucas. So with Dustin, he was never a main character out of all the kids. I love Dustin, but he feels a lot more like a character who relies on his relationships, especially with the 4 boys and Steve. I feel like with Eddie, Dustin's part of the death story would be on the other side of it, grieving the dead. But with Lucas, I think that he will end up with Max. With Lucas, he also was never a main character. He never got too much development over the seasons. Like, I don't think he was ever a main character in a story. I feel like a lot of his story will do with Max in trying to keep her safe. Out of the main group of boys, I feel like he's the least likely to die. Joyce has already been through so much, and I think that, like Dustin, her part of a death story is on the other side of things with the grieving part, especially if it's Will or Jonathan. With 40% chance of dying is Jonathan and Nancy. With both of these characters, I don't have a good reason for why they shouldn't die or should die. A lot of their characters have to do with their relationships and them growing a bit more apart, especially with Nancy having a bit more of a relationship with Steve. And I feel like out of all the cast of characters, those two have had in recent seasons the least amount of development, and I just feel like if they killed them off here, it would just be not as satisfying as if they were to kill off someone like Steve. But jumping up to 60% chance of dying, I have Mike. I have a feeling that it will either be Mike, Eleven, or Will as someone who will make the sacrifice play at the end of the series. But with Mike, I have a feeling that this season, Eleven and Mike are going to be drifting apart, and with the confession of Will to Mike about his feelings to him. So Mike's relationship, like the rest of the series, would have a lot to do with his relationships to other characters, but I wouldn't necessarily have Mike out of the hole yet of him dying because he was the main character in season 1, so him being the one to make a sacrifice play to save Eleven or anyone really might be a bit poetic. At 75% chance of dying, I have Steve. Oh wait, no, sorry, not that Steve. This Steve. The reason why is because always the one to make the sacrifice play. Even in the early seasons, he was the one to protect the kids. He has been the babysitter role. And I just feel like him confessing his dreams to Nancy about him having about 6 kids. Already has 6 kids, so kind of living out that dream already. And going on road trips with Nancy. Steve has also been the character who has developed so much since season 1. They've always had a plan to kill Steve off, especially in the first season, but he's just nearly survived death so many times that I feel like this season he might bite the bullet. But with 2 people having a high chance of dying are Hopper and Will at 80% chance. Will, I think, might die to stop the Upside Down in a way, to kill off Vecna because Vecna has a hold on him. Will has, for the past 2 seasons, always sensed Vecna, so I feel like Vecna will not die unless if Will dies along with him, so it might be a race of them trying to figure out is there a way to cut them off, or is Will going to have to sacrifice himself. I feel like him being the boy who went missing in season 1, for them trying to save him, to him being the one they have to kill would be kind of fun to see. And overall, Will just needs a lot more development in this season, because last season all he's had going for him is touching the back of his neck. And with Hopper, he has always been the one to protect Eleven and Joyce. So with Vecna having a personal grudge against Eleven, Hopper will probably die protecting her. But something that makes me think that he won't die, otherwise I wouldn't put him at a 90% chance, is that his fake out death in season 3. It makes it really bad to kill him off now, considering they sort of killed him off in season 3. And at last, but probably deadest, even if that were the thing, is Eleven at 90% chance. Now I think it would be poetic for her to have to create the Upside Down and her to have to make the sacrifice play to destroy it. I feel like her history with Vecna makes their confrontation a much more enticing battle, and Eleven being the only one to have powers, with this season having to wrap up a lot of the storylines and having to basically close down all the different magical and supernatural sides of the world, Eleven would either have to lose her powers or die this season. Now for the story, it would be so much more easier to kill her off, but I hope they don't kill her off, because she has lived a pretty rough life, and I feel like I want to see her live out the rest of her life, but I don't think she's going to be making it through this season. But I don't want them to kill off any of these characters. I love all of them for different reasons, but I don't think all of them will make it out of the series, but some have a higher chance of dying than the others. At minimum, I think 2 characters will die in this series, so if I have to think of 2 characters of dying, Eleven and Will I think are the ones to go. But thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, and I do have other videos planned for Stranger Things with a review for each season over the Christmas break, but this is Movie Nerd signing off.